Previously on Inside the SuperDraft.
That's a unique quality, and those guys are rare to find, especially at a young age like that.
Then you've got Nagby, and you can't help but love the way that he plays.
It's going to be exciting for them having the top 2 picks, and they're going to have some pretty good offers.
I think that the 3 teams in the Northwest will be a great rivalry.
We want to win the Cascadia Cup between these 3 teams, and I'm sure they want to do the same.
We want to make sure we make an impact right away, and some of these guys will have a direct impact in that.
The 2011 MLS Player Combine kicked off on January 8th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Staff from all 18 teams packed the bleachers to get a look at the talent up for grabs in the ensuing SuperDraft.
So we went through yesterday's games, went through each team. We kind of rank the players positionally. We'll take another look tomorrow, and then we'll have another meeting and kind of go through the same process of looking at each individual and how they would fit into our team. Looking at our current roster and what we saw yesterday, there's a few positions we think. There's a handful of center backs out there who performed pretty well. I thought AJ Soares looked pretty good, really athletic. Annie Baba was also a guy who looks like he could make the jump. Central midfielders as well. I thought Cascadia was pretty good, and he was a guy who we hadn't seen much of, but I thought he changed the game for that team. And then of the foreign players, I thought all of them were technically good. Victor Stupinan, I thought he was good. He made good runs and he worked hard, and he's a guy you could see has played at a higher level. We need to look at our roster. We need to see these guys play a couple more times, but I think overall it was a pretty good first day.
Seen a lot of good play today from the 4 teams, and we'll go back as a staff and take our notes and have a look at them and have a little chat. I think always the day 2 is a good leveler, and then you start to see the real good players coming to the front. I think there's a lot of talent out there. After seeing the U20s as well yesterday, Thomas Rongen and the US national team staff are doing a good job there, and I think the future's bright for American national team soccer as well. Obviously Perry Kitchen we've seen play yesterday for the U20s. We've seen Darlington Nagby a few times playing for Akron. Kofi Sarkodie, who I do like, has massive potential. I dare say if I had number 1, 2, 3 and 4, I could definitely build a really good team and for Portland in 2011.
We have just finished off the last game here now, and now we are going to go back to the hotel and sit down, because the staff we have here is quite massive, and we will now sit down and finalize and get together and see what we have on the block. I felt the beginning of the combine was, the first game was quite average. I felt the games as the combine went on has got better and better.
Yeah, the combine's always a productive thing for us because I think over 3 days, sort of every player floats and rises to their level or falls to their level.
Well, these combines are always very interesting. There's a lot of talent here.
There's always some players that you see and you go, man, I wish I was in position to pick that guy because he's special.
For us, the number 2 pick is, there's only a handful of guys that you would take at that pick, so we're very fortunate.
No, it would be fantastic if we could get a few talents from the draft.
Whatever happens, Vancouver are going to get a good player, Portland are going to get a very good player, so whether it be a Perry Kitchen, a Darlington Nagby, a Kofi Sarkodie, they're all very good players in their respective positions, so we don't have a problem getting either one of these guys.
As the combine came to a close, the teams began to target certain positional needs, some of which could be filled on draft day.
There are some strikers here. We've been looking for strikers, and our concentration will definitely be a bit on that.
Goalkeeper is a position that sometimes a kid gets identified early on the youth team, but there's other guys that pass him by later because they're physically mature or they're hungrier because they haven't gotten that opportunity. So we we're very cognizant of not getting locked into only looking at the guy who's right now on top of the heap. Everybody brings something different. There's the experience for sure that McMath brings, having been on the under-20s, and you know, you had a really big, large goalkeeper in Willis, and then you had a short, quick, reactionary goalkeeper in Josh Ford. You know, Meredith is a little in between there.
Preparing for numerous possibilities on draft day, the teams looked beyond the cream of the crop to evaluate the entire draft pool.
Overall, you know, I think the talent, you know, continues to be reasonably solid. Everybody always says it's down, but I think it works out pretty well.
There are players that have that I felt didn't start off very well, but came very strongly later in the combine, and definitely players that have interested me.
There's some impact guys at the top part of the combine for sure, but then I think you get to a point where really between 10 and say 30, there's not maybe a heck of a lot of difference.
Internally, we have had some meetings to try to find out what we think will be available as our second pick.
We've also got 2 early picks in the second round. So for us, we know the core group of guys that we would take as a number 2 pick. So if Vancouver picked option A, we just go to your option B type of thing.
The other thing that becomes exciting is can you find that diamond in the rough in the 3rd round? Can we dig up another Mike Facito, who we picked in the 4th round? Jeff Hart, who's on our team now, was the player who was picked last in the draft. You know, finding that diamond in the rough is a lot of fun too. Hey, I think this guy might have something special.
That's where you've got to do your homework and say, can we get a steal in there, someone that we can add to the roster that can come through a little bit later.
I don't think that there are many players in the combine though that could go in and be starters in the MLS teams. You know, I think most of this talent here need some time to adjust to the league.
With just hours to go until draft day, all kinds of opportunities beckon, giving each team plenty to think about.
Obviously, for us now, we've got to look at what the different opportunities are, and so if at 11 there's a player on the board that we really covet and interest, we'll certainly hold on to that pick and take it. But if that guy isn't there, you know, there's probably 6 or 7 guys that we would throw in that category. If that guy isn't there, you know, we might be very willing to trade that for some allocation money, or allocation money in a lower pick or something like that, some combination thereof.
Tom has been very busy on the phone, and there are a lot of things that have come up during the time we've been here. So we will definitely have a look into that and see how that turns out.
Always the night before the draft is probably a great sociological study for a college class. You know, all the interaction and, you know, the little huddles that go on. One team's huddled here, another team's huddled there. They send out their little advanced guys to see what they're thinking, and he comes back to the group, and you sort of go through the group thing. So it's an interesting evening.
We have tried to, as much as we can, to prepare for everything, and I think we have a quite good overview, and I'm quite sure that we are well prepared for the draft and have seen it from almost all angles. So hopefully we will be well prepared for that.
On the next episode of Inside the SuperDraft, it's an historic start for the league's 2 newest expansion sides. While the Sounders wait and see if one of their top choices will fall.
I think there's 2 more picks, maybe 3, and then surprises start out.
Draft day kicks off when Inside the SuperDraft moves on to Baltimore.